Super Sunday in West London. It's Queen's Park Rangers against Newcastle United at Loftus Road. Our match commentators today, Andy Gray and Martin Tyler.
Thanks very much, Richard. Jerry Francis has said that defeat at Stockport in the FA Cup, his most disappointing result in the 2.5 years he spent as manager here. Quite different characters, the two managers, but both have rekindled clubs at which they were outstanding players, and both still bitten by the football bug, though they have wide business interests outside the game. This match was in some doubt on Thursday. London had been soaked for several days. The weather has changed, and happily the pitch has changed for the better. It is very, very chilly, but happily very, very dry. Dermot Gallagher, newly appointed to the FIFA list of referees, ready to get the game underway. The stripes against the hoops. Newcastle smarting from the way that Queen's Park Rangers really outplayed them up at St James's Park. The combination of Beardsley and Cole that has been grabbing the glory for Newcastle United, getting the game underway. And Tony Roberts having to stretch David Bardsley with the back pass. Oh, and Roberts very rustily has kicked it straight to Robert Lee. Roberts lost his place in the league side back in September after a defeat at Manchester City. He's not too happy with the way the ball came to him, and I would say even more discontented about his own clearance, but he got away with it. Ferdinand gets away here behind Barry Venison. Venison checks. Ferdinand not attuned. His first touch as he set off there was far too strong on the ball, and Newcastle can breathe again. Andy.
Well, it's as if they need a warning about this guy. The only thing that saves him in this position is the ball bounced very high. If Les could have reached that on the bounce and taken it in his stride, I don't think Barry Venison would have got back to catch him. But that's a real warning.
Barker. Venison in the firing line again. Was that a push by Ferdinand? It was. That's a tough assignment to be given on your return to the team.
Certainly is. And when Les is like this, when he said early in the game, when he said a couple of things go his way, I mean, that's there to be competed for. You would fully expect any centre-forward worth his salt to be challenging Barry Venison for that bouncing ball. And Barry knows it, I think. In all honesty, I don't think he expected a free header there.
Venison's okay. And it is Yates getting alongside Beardsley there, with Darren Peacock at the moment keeping his eye on Andy Cole. Sinclair leaving it to Wilkins. Wilson. Gary Penrice with the chest. The first time ball, trying to get it in behind Robinson from Barker, and then Penrice blazed away.
Good movement all round from Queen's Park Rangers, and it's half a chance. Smash and run from Sinclair, trying to get inside the fullback. And I tell you what, I know Gary Penrice well from his Villa days. He's got good technique, and I'm a little bit surprised he blazed that over.
Yates gets the better of Beardsley. Steve Yates, who cost £650,000 from Bristol Rovers, a strong connection between Queen's Park Rangers and that club. Through Jerry Francis, of course. Clive Wilson, very dependable on the left side for Jerry Francis's team. Barker. Ferdinand. Fouled by Clark.
Well, Newcastle started with a 4 across the middle. Robert Lee is playing in that wide right position that they're going with 4. I think that's probably sensible when you're away from home.
Ray Wilkins looking up, and he'll see Ferdinand, who is such a towering figure in the air. Sinclair, flag is up. Well, Queen's Park Rangers 4 games without a win, but Stockport aside, they've been pretty satisfied with their performances. Newcastle have really roared into the new year with 3 wins in a row. Peter Beardsley, who's been scoring goals at will, knows that he hasn't yet got a goal on this ground. One of the few, he says. Oh, Sellers! It's Cole. It's confusing. Now Clark. 1-0 to Newcastle United. In the 5th minute, mayhem around Tony Roberts, and Clark, who's been so short of goals, gets one here.
Well, it's all their own doing. They got away with one early on, and that's a woefully short pass back. But let's give 2 people credit. First Clark, then Cole. They made sure it wouldn't be cleared. And when there's a lot of bodies there, I tell you what, he doesn't half find a little gap well, Lee Clark. But look at Sellers. He made that his own. Cole was so determined in going in for that challenge, and when it breaks to Clark, he finds the corner beautifully.
But more worry for Queen's Park Rangers, joy for Lee Clark. But Tony Roberts is hurt. Jan Stejskal, the substitute, is by no means fully fit. Will they have to use him?
That was a fierce challenge from Andy Cole, Martin. It really was. And I think it's probably in that challenge where he picked up the knock. But I mean, this is crazy. Clive Wilson, with all of experience, he can turn round there, giving a little shout, he could have gone forward. But he was a woefully short there. But this challenge here is the one that he picked up the injury, Roberts. And from then on, there was real confusion there.
Well, the Newcastle players rather cruelly have nicknamed Lee Clark Jigsaw because he goes to pieces in the box. But that goal was taken from just outside the penalty area. So maybe the nickname will still apply. His finishing in training, they will tell you, has been absolutely terrific. It hasn't materialised in the hurly-burly of the Premiership, but it has done here. And after Newcastle had hardly got forward, suddenly they're in the lead. And Roberts plays on. Very important for Jerry Francis that he does. Here's Impey. Howie couldn't deal with it. Robinson was there. Wilkins, who's another who's not fully fit. He hasn't been able to participate properly in training this week. He's got a problem with a foot. Beresford. So somebody other than Andy Cole or Peter Beardsley has been on target for Newcastle United. It's Lee Clark, who's there again. Dermot Gallagher letting the game go with Newcastle still in possession.
I think that's something that Lee Clark has got to add to his game, though. If he's going to take that next step in his career, Mark, he's got to get goals consistently from that midfield area.
Lee, Newcastle with their tails up. Well, there have been some great meetings between these two sides down the years now. Barsley is penalised here. He'd lost out to Sellers and then held him.
Peter Beardsley was a mile offside, Mark, in the build-up there as it broke. And I think that's what they're worried about.
Beardsley leaves it for Beresford. Peacock. Clark collects. Impey. Nice touch from Wilkins. Barker. Well, now Rangers do need Ferdinand to catch fire. Robinson. go back to get Newcastle going forward through Bracewell. Now Venison. Lee, lovely turn against Wilson. Cole and Beardsley in the centre.
Great turn from Robert Lee, but it's just his touch after that was a little bit too far in front of him, and that allowed Ray Wilkins time to get across and make the block.
Well, this always looked as though it would be a clash for the connoisseurs, and it certainly started that way. Away by Bardsley.
It's funny, Martin, you never get the impression that when they knock a corner in like that, Newcastle, they're going to have someone flying in and planting a header in the corner somewhere. They certainly kept two centre-backs back early in the game. At any corner they've had or any set piece, what I think does suggest that they're paying Les Ferdinand quite a compliment today.
Certainly got plenty of aerial ability if they want to invest in it in the Rangers penalty area at set pieces. Wilson. Ferdinand. There's Sinclair, who's done so well since being brought south from Blackpool. Made Rangers supporters start to forget Andy Sinton. Was Robinson pulling there? The referee didn't think so.
Referee didn't see it. He certainly was pulled.
Wilson again looking for Peacock, who glanced it into a dangerous area that time. Wilkins. Olympiad straight in from the touchline. Terry Francis quite rightly prides himself and his team on their organisation. They're very well drilled. They're very regularly drilled. So to concede a goal like that will not have pleased the Queen's Park Rangers management.
He spent all week telling his players to be wary of Beardsley, to be wary of Cole and Lee and people like that, Martin, in general play. But there's nothing he can do about a mistake like that.
Impey. We talked about the pitch possibly being unplayable here. Well, certainly the Rangers training facilities were badly affected in the week, but they had a couple of days, Friday and Saturday, out in the open air to work on their routine for this afternoon. Barker will lift it back in. Wilkins had made a run. Beardsley.
That's when it's difficult
Bombing
to
on down the left-hand side, Beresford. It's the other left-back, Clive Wilson. And he's got springs, it seems, in the soles of his boots, Les Ferdinand.
It's his timing that's so impressive. You know, lots of players can jump, Martin, but his timing is exemplary at the moment. It really is.
Barker trying to get there. Bracewell stopped him. Barker. Impey. Newcastle keeping their shape well, and in the end, Andy Impey ran out of room. Newcastle might have been fearing a trip to London because it's been something of a curse in the capital recently. Their last 3 defeats, all in these parts. Most recently at Chelsea, of course, before that at Arsenal, then at Wimbledon in the League Cup. When you think they've lost at home to Queen's Park Rangers and to Spurs, London sides have done quite well, but here Newcastle lead by a 1-0 against Queen's Park Rangers, but Hooper in the end not arguing with Howie, who played the ball and played safe.
I mean, that may look like confusion there, and I suppose Mick Hooper hasn't called loud enough. But really, Howie gave the perfect example. If you're in doubt, you get rid of it first, and then organise. That's exactly what he did.
Barnsley's throw. Clark is called up for handball.
Certainly comes off his arm. I'm not so sure it's a deliberate one. I think he's got his hand up there, jumping for a ball, using his arm for leverage. But it certainly struck the hand.
Well, David Barnsley strikes the ball excellently in these situations. Will he be involved? Barker and Wilkins closer to the ball. Barker takes it off the wall, and Rangers have a corner. How will Newcastle handle Ferdinand here, who did so well against them up at St James's Park, particularly in the air? He makes his move to try and get free. And he was beaten by Howie.
Did his job, the centre-back.
Wilson. It's a miss-hit. Impey. Is a very responsible defensive player on the wide right of midfield, but Rangers do feel that the best value he has to the team is to get the ball down and try and take on opponents, as he's endeavoured to do so far.
I just think where he's picking it up is not in his best interest. He's drifting infield a little bit. And I think somebody like Andy Impey, when they get the ball and they're moving towards his side, should have chalk on his boots, so to speak, and be available to go at the full-back wide.
Cole and Beardsley crossed over there, and so too did the markers for Queen's Park Rangers. They're staying that way with Yates on Beardsley and Peacock on Cole. Robinson. Wilkins. Trying to float it to where he thought Ferdinand could get it, and there's such an air of concern about Newcastle when it goes anywhere near Les Ferdinand. It wasn't very near to him then, but Howie's glanced it behind for the corner.
Well, did he glance it behind for the corner? I think that's the question. What he's needing here, I don't think he touches it. He's desperately needing a call from Mike Hooper, who can see everything to tell him to leave it. Now, whether he got that call, I don't know. It certainly didn't look like it.
Ferdinand fighting for it, and it's cleared by Bracewell. Bardsley. Peacock with a shout from the supporters. Cole was closing him down. Nothing to the left for Rangers. Yates got away with it. Rolled straight to Bardsley. Sinclair. Wilkins. That's not quite the range. Gave Robert Lee a chance to get across and see off Clive Wilson.
Just asked a little bit much of Clive Wilson there, Ray.
Rangers, London's top team in the league last season, would go up to 7th place if they were to win today, and Newcastle striving to go 3rd in the table. That's what a victory would mean. And they started well. They lead for a goal in the 5th minute from Lee Clark, who's chasing here with Barker. Winning the battles at the moment. Beardsley. Well, who started that off? Beardsley felt he was fouled first of all by Yates. Sinclair. Balked by Bracewell, the advantage played by Dermot Gallagher. Robert Lee working down the right-hand side defensively. Sellers doing it down the left for Newcastle. Oh, Penrice! 1-1. Rangers hit back through Gary Penrice.
You can see Jerry Francis get balls in the box, he's saying there. And here, this is exactly what they're looking for, Ferdinand. Make no mistake about that. But I tell you what, full marks to Penrice. He kept his eye on the ball. His touch on his chest was assured, because he chests it down into an area where he can get a strike. Look at that. He knows he can hit it first time. And when he wants to find a corner, he does so.
Gary Penrice picking up the pieces. Queen's Park Rangers 1, Newcastle United 1.
Well, we said this had all the makings of being exciting.
What was it, 9 years ago now? There was a 5-5 draw between these two teams here. Newcastle actually led that one 4-0 at half-time. And Chris Waddle got a hat-trick.
We couldn't be that lucky, could we?
You never know. Clark. Ferdinand. And forward from Robinson, and this cue from Wilson. Beardsley. Oh, that's a wonderful appreciation of the game there. Newcastle rather stuck on this side for a moment. Now they spread it. Beresford. Lee joining Cole in the centre. Beresford coming Penrice. You've got to defend here. If you want to stop the cross, they can't do that. Well, Sellers again on the left foot. Having flailed away unsuccessfully the first time, you would have backed Scott Sellers there, given another opportunity.
I'll tell you what, he wouldn't mind another one of these, Scott Sellers. It's disappointing because he doesn't hit the target. When it drops here, it's half a chance. It's on his left side. But suddenly it drops here. It's perfect. But in all honesty, Scott Sellers will be disappointed. But let's have another look at that goal. And Penrice's touch there. He watches the flight of the ball, doesn't take his eye off it. And that's the reason he's able to create the chance for himself.
Gary Penrice, who of course competes with Bradley Allen for the place alongside Les Ferdinand. Roberts comes. The ball stays in play. Roberts a long way from home. Can Clark get it goalless? Had he been able to do that, he would surely have scored. Well, he's a real live wire character, Tony Roberts.
He's had an eventful opening 22 minutes, let's just say that. Had to deal with an awkward pass back in the opening seconds. Almost halved in two, losing a goal, and he gets away with it there. I mean, he feels he has to come out. I often wonder myself why goalkeepers do come out there when it's a defender in contact. But you can see there, had Clark been able to put that in target, then he couldn't have failed to miss.
Good control by Robinson. Lee. Bracewell. Sinclair. Blocked it well. Penrice with the Ferdinand. Well, the message was to get the ball in the box, as you saw from Jerry Francis. They do again to some success in that Sinclair won the first header. Wilson deflects off Beardsley. Well, Tony Roberts, of course, has played for Wales, and I'm sure he'll have plenty to chat about to Neville Southall, a goalkeeping eccentric, if ever there was one, when they get together again. Ferdinand. And the second time, Wilkins pushing on. Clark down for Bracewell. To Ferdinand's area. Impey in quickly. Penrice again trying to poach one, this time by the near post.
Lovely ball from Andy Impey. Encouraging someone to go after it.
Peacock. Kept in well by Barker. Bardsley. Ground always looks tight here, but the pitch certainly not one of the narrower ones in the league, and both sides trying to use the full breadth of the playing area. Back to here, Newcastle have got Clark on the right-hand side. Robinson. Cole, Beardsley spins off, Cole turns. Doing it for himself, is it? Is it number 30? Not yet.
Tell you what, Martin. Gavin Peacock was talking about his admiration about Cole when he gets the ball and his ability to turn instantly with the ball. And watch this. Look at the way he turns. Not just once to create a yard, but twice. Onto his favourite side, his right side. But unfortunately from there, he can only drive it straight at Tony Roberts.
Well, another member of the Peacock clan will be talking about it, Darren Peacock, because he was labouring then.
But what can anyone do about someone who spins like that?
Well, I didn't mean it too much of a criticism. It's a compliment to Cole. Peacock's a fine defender. He has the major responsibility for the Newcastle number 9 here. Venison. Rangers do have a very good record against Newcastle. 6 wins and 2 draws in the last 8 meetings between the two sides. The latest, of course, that success in October up at St James's Park. Well, Jan Steesgaard had to save a last-minute penalty from Malcolm Allen to preserve a victory, but Kevin Keegan had no complaints that his side were losers that day. They were just starting to really put it together in the Premiership at that time. Today's opponent's a stumbling block up in the northeast. And the Rangers showing that they've got the capacity to embarrass Newcastle again here, having conceded the first goal in the game. Wilson. Barker. Well, he's a very buoyant, positive character, Barry Venison. And I think he's going to need to be here. Push this time by Howie on Ferdinand.
And any free kicks given away in this sort of area. You see the little nudge on Ferdinand there. Any free kicks given away in this sort of area pose a real threat to Newcastle. Because not only have they got to cope with Ferdinand, they've got to cope with Peacock's height as well.
Well, this really is shaping into a superb match at Shepherd's Bush. Rangers looking to get in front, and if Ferdinand gets the chance to head goal was like that, they will get in front.
Well, they're looking around at Steve Howie to say, well, where were you? Your job is Les Ferdinand. The ball's played in, and where are you? She's 6 backs away, Steve Howie backs away. And that's fatal. There's someone like Ferdinand around.
The problem for Mike Hooper there was moving in the stickiest part of that particular goal area to make the save. Wilkins with the corner. It's Ferdinand again, flying in. As the ball dropped, Darren Peacock was hoping that a chance would materialise.
I mean, I don't think we should be surprised that the emphasis from Queen's Park Rangers is to put the ball in there and let Les Ferdinand test them when he had such joy at St James's Park. And certainly in the opening stages of this match, opening half hour, he's shown Jerry Francis enough to suggest he can cause problems again today, certainly in the air.
It's quite a late developer, Les Ferdinand, and Jerry Francis has found the formula to get the best out of him. Robinson. A couple of ricochets there, and the outcome is a corner. And this time they're going to let Steve Howie come forward, or are they? There's a bit of debate, yes.
He wants to go, doesn't he? But he's waiting for that extra defender.
Waiting for Mark Robinson to come back, who's gone up to win the corner. Beasley got it. And that was really flashed across the face by Sellers.
Not a bad delivery, tell you. Not a bad area for across the land, but they had no one attacking it. Newcastle.
Wilkins. Racing. It's Cole pulling away. Rangers were glad in the end that the ball had arrived at an awkward height to Andy Cole, just out of his range as he tried to control it.
And it was only just.
Kept it in. There hasn't been any sign of lasting discomfort for Tony Roberts after the injury sustained seconds before Newcastle scored the first goal. Sinclair straight to Venice. Cross comes Ferdinand at pace. It's part of the organisation from Jerry Francis to get his front men starting wide, and when Newcastle have the ball at the back, to close in from an angle, try and catch them out. Ferdinand from the right, Penrice from the left. Bracewell, no real challenge from either Barker or Sinclair. Cole. Beardsley. For Cole. Slightly different, the game plan for the two sides. They can put the percentage ball in Queen's Park Rangers for Les Ferdinand. Newcastle trying to be more deliberate, getting into feet.
The quality of the ball from Newcastle has to be that much better. I think that's the difference, Martin. Because anyone in the outfield of Queen's Park Rangers can just put one in an area and they expect Ferdinand to challenge for it and win his fair share, whereas the precision of the passing has to be that better from Newcastle.
But Cole and Beardsley so industrious in their positional play to take up areas where they can be found. Andy Cole's played here before for Arsenal reserves. This is somewhat different, and so is his status in the game these days. What a benefit for him, though, to have Peter Beardsley around. Penrice coming in behind Ferdinand again. Another ball, really, that was fairly straightforward. But Newcastle had difficulties in dealing with it as Ferdinand went up.
Well,
it was the distraction.
Sorry, Martin, Les doesn't have to win it. All his job is to stop Steve Howe heading it clear. And it really should encourage the midfield players, in particular Barker and Ray Wilkins, at least one of them, to be gambling forward any time the ball's in Ferdinand's area.
Free kick given against Venison for a dangerous challenge on Barker. Wilkins will take it. Peacock. Oh, now that was dangerous play. But it was a genuine attempt to go for the ball.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt this is a free kick. Ray Wilkins fairly fizzes that in, and Steve Howe does get ahead to it. You can see there that Darren Peacock's foot was rather high, to say the least.
Did well to acrobatically get it that high. Particularly as he's a problem with a knee injury, which is, they tell me here, referred pain from a back problem that's been discomforting him, but he hasn't missed many games. There was a doubt today. Ferdinand guiding it down. Penrice just with a little gesture of apology that he wasn't further forward. 10 minutes to go to half-time. Well, there's the statistics so far in terms of possession favouring the home side. This really is a delightful dish to set before you on Sunday afternoon. Penrice going for goal. It almost came for Barker. Sinclair gets it back to Barker. He was in front of Ferdinand then. Yates for Wilkins. Yates prepared to charge on himself. Well, we move on from here on Sky Sports in terms of live football for you. FA Cup third round replay from the City Ground, Nottingham, on Wednesday night. Nottingham Forest against last season's beaten finalist Sheffield Wednesday. Too long for Cole. Andy, what do you make of Jerry Francis' tactics with Yates and Darren Peacock really going man for man with Beardsley and Cole?
It's going to take a lot of concentration, particularly from Steve Yates, Martin, because it's okay when Beardsley sets himself up front, but it's when Peter drops deep, as we know he does so often, where Yates' test will come. And decisions he has to make. Does he go with Beardsley, or does he stay back and in line with Darren Peacock? Up till now, Yates has worked it well.
Difficult for defenders. The real appeal today, the attacking strengths on view on both sides. We just saw Ferdinand trying to fight for a chance for himself.
Yeah, if you're a defender with anything about you, you relish that kind of chance, don't you? To go up against the best.
Well, you can certainly say that about Darren Peacock, because he could have easily pulled out today. With no complaints from Queen's Park Rangers. They know the problem that he's got. Clark. Perky, John Beresford. Clark. Triangle down the left side involving Sellers as well. Clark got free again. Well, the midfield work, in fact, deserved a better ball in the end of it. You really have to admire Queen's Park Rangers and what they've done on limited resources. A player in the transfer market on a regular basis, Jerry Francis. Newcastle, altogether a different set of circumstances, but the money they have had to spend has been invested wisely. Sinclair. Very nice, there's help there from Wilkins. He hooks it in, and Hooper didn't deal with it. Madison did. Barker. Now Impey, into the box it goes again. And Hooper this time, a bit more assertive.
Well, it was under tremendous pressure, not only from Ferdinand, but from Trevor Sinclair as well at the near post. And it proved to be too much for the goalkeeper.
Venice. Well, Paul Bracewell was rated only 50-50 for this game. Certainly just as involved as you would expect. Even if he was 100% in the middle of midfield for Newcastle. Robinson, leaving Peacock, who's been drawn away from Cole.
That was a wasted opportunity, Martin, because you're right, because Peacock had been drawn way out the middle, out of defence, and hadn't been able to go back. You see there, Peacock chasing Robinson, but he's unable to put in a tailing cross.
Impey. 5 minutes to go to half-time. And Hooper can't claim it. Ferdinand has been hurt in the collision. And Dermot Gallagher has stopped the game straight away. Now there's an interesting situation. Queen's Park Rangers at Stockport last weekend. The play wasn't stopped when one of the Stockport players was down injured.
I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised he stops it, Martin, here. And they both go for the ball, very committed. And normally referees are very quick to agree with them when there's a clash of heads or anything like that. But you can see Les was untroubled, I felt, and what he's done, he stopped a very promising opportunity for Queen's Park Rangers to put them under more pressure.
Just to finish off what happened last weekend, of course, Queen's Park Rangers lost the goal when the whistle didn't go. And then really lost heart in the second half. Jerry Francis, no complaints. Stockport deserved to beat his side. They were out-battled, but the one area of major doubt that he had involved that Kevin Francis goal. We seem to be talking about a lot of different Francises. Of course, Trevor Francis has brought Sheffield Wednesday here very successfully a couple of times recently. Otherwise, Queen's Park Rangers' home record has been very good indeed. A major test of it. Set out here by Newcastle United. Robinson. Sinclair. Oh, and Ferdinand moving forward there with a suggestion of a limp. The kind of pitch on which muscles can be stretched and strained.
If anything, it looked like he landed awkwardly. He'll certainly not make a decision unless they may take him off now, but unless they can make that as a definite, and there won't be any returning. They'll wait till half-time, I'm sure of that, or Jerry would like to.
Well, Jerry Francis sat back there, cursing. He is the type of player, Les Ferdinand, who likes in his own mind to be 100% fit. But Newcastle would love to see the back of him in these circumstances. Of course, there's been talk that they've tried to sign him. He's been a much coveted forward. Get the shape right.
Quite easy to lip read, Jerry, isn't it?
We'll pan off off that in case some of the words we shouldn't pick up. Well, for the young fans to see games like this, make sure that football stays in the blood. It looks as though you're right again, Andy, that they'll wait until half-time. Came across there pretty confidently, Ferdinand. It's a lovely touch from Beardsley for Clark. Cole offside.
That's when it's so important for Darren Peacock that the two defenders behind him, when he's looking to play Cole offside, are either in line with him or further up the pitch than him. It's important that he's the last man.
Bardsley. There's Wilson. Luca comes, and he's left-handed again. And it can only encourage Rangers to increase the supply if they possibly can.
Well, you can understand the problems that Mike Cooper has. He knows his defenders have got a problem, and he's thinking to himself, well, I'll try and help them as often as possible. But this really was an ambitious decision. He's almost on the edge of his box, gets nowhere near it, and he really could have been embarrassed there.
Lee. Good intervention from Peacock. Cole. Peacock again. Robinson intercepted. More defending for Darren Peacock to do. Wilkins there to help him against Lee. He can't quite get free. Bracewell, ever available. Venison. Clark. Bracewell again. Now Beresford. There a chance for Newcastle in time added on at the end of the first half. And they've got a corner. But there's not time for it to be taken. Newcastle started well here, and Tony Roberts was beaten as early as the 5th minute by Lee Clark. But Gary Penrice popped in with the equaliser. Concern for Rangers, Les Ferdinand looks as though he's hurt. But at half-time here, it's 1-1. We'll be back after the break. Well, the good news for Queen's Park Rangers supporters is that their number 9 is back on the pitch. And Les Ferdinand came out, had a sprint to suggest that he might have shrugged off the problem that affected him just before half-time. Given the recent rain, the pitch has played pretty well. All the problems here, of course, are legacy from the artificial surface, which was down for 7 years at Loftus Road. Impey. It's a corner.
That's the type of run you're looking for if you get Andy Impey on your side. Positive and direct.
How good is Newcastle's concentration here? Fresh out from the dressing room. Wilkins hoping to provide a ball to embarrass them for Peacock. Sinclair was very quick. He does well. Penrice going in, Hooper with the punch. Smack forward for Cole to chase by Beardsley. And Bartley's made the mistake. But it was only a momentary one, or was it? Well, the whistle has gone against Andy Cole.
I can't believe the referee's decision there. Certainly, with looking at it, I didn't think Cole did anything wrong, except positively go to try and work the ball back. But you're right, Barnsley got out of jail there. He was taking his time, he was trying to let it drop, but you can't do that. with Andy Cole around, because he's on you in a flash, and he's a bit unlucky. Can't take the ball with him. And I think he's a bit unlucky here, because I think he goes in hard, he goes in positive. Maybe he doesn't get anything on the ball. Maybe the referee was right after all.
I think he was, Andy.
I'm always prepared to admit when I'm wrong.
I was going to say, nice of you to admit it. Well, the crowd really behind Rangers at the start of the second half, and roaring Wilkins on. Barker. Wilkins in a lot of space, found by Bardsley. Impey will chase, Impey will cross. Hooper will flail at it and make some contact. Barker back in towards Ferdinand.
Well, he limps out of the middle, Les Ferdinand. And that's not a positive sign. What was far more positive were two crosses that came in. This is the second one that Ferdinand again manages to win, but is unable to get any power behind it.
Yes, the limp is back. Let's get a quick word from Nick Collins over on the far side. Nick.
Martin, thanks very much. Well, Les Ferdinand, in fact, had fairly intense treatment throughout the half-time interval. He's got a problem with his back and his leg. Basically, Jerry Francis said he's back out for the second half, but we'll just have to wait and see how it goes.
He'll still be wondering about that. Lee, the bounce beat Wilson. The ball was out of play. It was a goal kick. Roberts cut it out in any case.
Well, had he managed to cut that back before he tried to beat Darren Peacock, then Andy Cole was completely clear, standing on the 6-yard line.
Sellers down the channel for Clark. Impey bearing out the point that I made in the first half, that he's always willing to track back and help David Bardsley. The clearance wasn't top class. I believe Nick Collins has got a little more news for us. Nick, back to you.
Well, Martin, we had a very quick word with Kevin Keegan as he came back out for the second half. He was telling us how much he was enjoying the game, but he was disappointed with the goal that his team conceded, and he said that Jerry Francis was probably just as disappointed with the goal that they conceded. But he said very even, really enjoying it.
Well, that goes for the rest of us as well. Kevin, who took over as England captain from Jerry Francis. Jerry lost that role through a back injury that ended his international career. Beresford. So much of the emphasis here is on aggressive, purposeful play. Great change of direction from Beresford. Bracewell keeping it neat and tidy. Now wanting some movement. It comes from Cole towards the corner and from Peacock for Rangers. A bit of a slip and a slide along the way, and Darren Peacock not able to dominate the situation. It's a corner. Cole thought there might have been an infringement before then, has a word with the referee.
I think he felt he got nudged when he made that diagonal run out to the wing.
Steve Howie poised to come in from the edge of the area if Newcastle get the ball in. In he comes.
Well, it's a chance. You have to say that. Anything that flashes across the air, how he attacks it very well. Just gets half a yard on Darren Peacock. It's a free header, you have to say. He really should be looking to get them on target.
Well, he did start out as a striker. And when they have the set pieces, he does add a bit of weight and meat in fighting for the cross ball. Both goalkeepers had some adventurous moments. Has added to the overall entertainment level here. It's been considerable. We expected nothing less. Queen's Park Rangers 1, Newcastle United 1. Wilkins put Bracewell off then and forced the error. Wilkins has gone forward again. Stan Bowles saying at half-time, we haven't seen too much of Ray Wilkins. I'm sure he's right in that respect. In Ray's defence, he has been affected by this foot injury.
I think that's probably influenced Jerry Francis' tactics in that department. They almost operated a diamond in the middle, Martin, and I honestly thought that Barker would be the one who'd be at the top of it, looking to support the front two. And what's happened, in fact, for the majority of the game so far is Ray's been the one who's been at the top end of it, and Simon Barker's been the one that's been used defensively. And that may all be to do with Ray's injury.
And Barker's greater mobility.
Correct. Well, they'll always be wary of Beardsley dropping deep, and I think that they now have said to Simon Barker, if he does that, and we leave Clark running from the midfield area, you might be better suited to that than Ray.
And also in dealing with Paul Bracewell, he's not going to be embarrassed by a player of exceptional pace either, Ray Wilkins. The two close together again as Clark moves Barker around further forward from Newcastle. Bardsley and Beardsley. Ferdinand gets a big chest to the ball. It is fascinatingly poised here. We say that so often, but there's very little between these two sides. Rangers looking for a double over a team that have really won the hearts of football lovers all around the Premiership grounds, Newcastle United. Lee. Oh, Beardsley! Well, if he's going to change his luck on this ground, remember, in all his career, he's scored more than 200 goals. Not one of them has occurred at this stadium. That was the type of try that might change the luck.
Yeah, with Andy Cole, I don't think having scored in either of his London trips this season, I suppose if Jerry Francis had anything to look positive about, it would be that statistic.
Yes, and Andy, of course, is supposed to be home in London, isn't he? He was telling me before the game he's hoping that Kevin Keegan will let him spend the rest of the weekend down here with his friends.
Well, if he gets him a winner, I don't think he even has to ask him. Let's put it that way. It's all been played between both penalty areas at the moment, and there's, in all honesty, not a great deal happened in either danger area. I think that's the one thing I'd like to see change in the second half.
Sinclair did well. Barker battling too. Really an opportunity for Rangers here to rid their systems of the shame of defeat at Stockport. MP trying to get in front of Beresford. He'd done that, but the ball was too high for him. Wilkins got to it. Peacock, little prod to Bardsley. Penrice taken up a good position. And so too is Wilkins forward as well. Penrice was looking longer than that towards Ferdinand. Couldn't quite squeeze it back to Sinclair. Space for Clark. Well, Beardsley yet again has got Yates for company. That side of things going well for Queen's Park Rangers.
We've spoken about it before, though. The defender's job against people like Beardsley and Cole lasts 90, sometimes longer minutes.
Barker got it back then. The service that he's getting from his own teammates.
Well, he's really getting the burp from the Newcastle fans behind the goal. difficult surface for a goalkeeper to deal with any pass-backs today.
Sellers trying to thread it through for Cole. He's got a lot to do. He's accomplished the difficult regularly this season, but not this time.
I know he impressed us with that wonderful finish on his left side at Oldham recently, Martin, but I'm never as sure of what's going to happen when he drags it to his left like that. He doesn't look that comfortable on that side, and we'll talk about, what, 29 goals this season. It's amazing to talk about weaknesses, but we all know you have to work at certain things, and certainly his left side is something that Andy Cole will be working on.
29 goals in 27 games. 41 in 39 overall for Newcastle. Clark chasing. And Roberts this time doesn't have to kick.
That's why Barker's there, Martin. You saw it perfectly. Clark busting from the midfield and Barker trailing him all the way.
And again, well, Wilkins is struggling. Sellers! What a rasper with his right foot.
Well, there was lots of movement ahead. Cole was looking for it, Beardsley was looking for it, and he used that, Scott Sellers, to create a little opening for himself, and just as he hits it, it sits up for him. Now that enabled him to connect very well, but obviously it just made him lean back a little and send it over the top.
But Newcastle moving forward there when Ray Wilkins showing that at 37 you do need to be in full training, which he hasn't been able to take part in. He's playing with his brains more than his body at the moment. And here he is taking up a good position and inviting Sinclair to go on, showed too much of it. Cross from Penrice. Moving quickly, didn't catch Newcastle off guard. Oh, there's the... The bullfighter letting the bull go.
Let's just say he was in full control of the situation.
Well, he is now. Bardsley. Beresford. Not the most cultured ball of the afternoon, but Robert Lee fights for it against Wilson, who had to recover pretty smartish.
I can't understand why defenders just don't go and head the ball in a situation like that.
Robinson. Beardsley. Trying the trick. Wilson hitting it back at Beresford. After what had happened a moment or two earlier when one left back had embarrassed the other. No one going beyond Cole, who challenged, and Lee did the same. Both attracted to the ball.
A cheer for Tony Roberts for throwing it out.
Bardsley. David Bardsley uses the ball very well from right back. Got into the England picture under Graham Taylor. Played his last international and played well in Poland last summer. Wilkins with the corner. Falls for Sinclair, not quite. Bardsley again, sensible distribution. Wilkins. Sinclair really drilling it against Beresford. The outcome, more progress down the touchline for the home team, and Penrice, who's earned a corner, and Newcastle dispute that.
I just wonder, Martin, if Ray Wilkins will think I'm missing out Les Ferdinand, because Darren Peacock has got himself up against Beresford and Paul Bracewell, and I really fancy his chances of winning it.
So did Mike Hooper, which is why he came.
It's always worthwhile just changing it slightly at times. We're looking so much to Les, just a little change of policy.
Yates. Up in the air from Howie. Beresford. Build-up's going on from the back, and that's being done under pressure as Ferdinand closed down Howie. Beardsley still staying pretty far forward, not coming to congest midfield. Ferdinand, Sinclair, recovery from Robinson.
Just showed him enough. Just showed the full-back enough.
Wilson. This time it's Bracewell who gets the better of Sinclair. Beardsley. So this hit by Clark, but it comes to Beardsley for Cole, back for Beardsley again! Absolutely brilliant! He's broken his duck at Queen's Park Rangers. His first goal on this ground, and what a goal!
Well, they get lucky. Simon Barker must be wondering how he can be punished for a ball that just bounces off him. But we warn you about Beardsley's ability to produce the unusual, the unexpected. But credit to Cole. It's a difficult one because it's behind him, but he digs it out and he lays it in front of Beardsley. But it's not easy to take. There's a lot of work to be done, and Beardsley didn't disappoint. That's a magnificent finish.
He'll be 33 on Tuesday, and time is not diminishing the technique. A venomous volley, a valuable volley, and Peter Beardsley, who of course has been scoring regularly around the country, and he knows all his facts and figures. He's got a great statistical mind. He can tell you all the grounds that he hasn't yet scored on, and there aren't many of them, and this one now isn't amongst them. This is how it happened. Andy, another look.
We can only admire it, Martin. Look, there's where they get lucky. Barker does everything right and cuts the ball out, but look at Beardsley in that deep position. Yates can do nothing about that now. But look at that for a finish. Not only did he make contact with a difficult volley, he controlled a difficult volley.
Well, whoever will be the next England manager, take a look. And I can tell you in that respect that Jerry Francis has been spoken to officially in the inquiries that have been going on to find availability and interest. But Kevin Keegan tells me he has not been officially approached. The saga goes on. The game goes on, and Newcastle United lead it by 2-1. But having lost the lead once, they'll be taking nothing for granted here.
To be honest, Les Ferdinand hasn't looked as much of a threat, has he, Martin, in the second half. The opening 20 minutes, they've contained him very well. They've limited the service to him, and I think that's been an important factor.
Sinclair trying to take something from the Beardsley catalogue. Barker's attempted cross is a weak one. Difficult times for Jerry Francis now. Does he stick with Ferdinand, although not now fully fit, who might get him something to get back in the game? Or does he take him off and try and have somebody who's got more movement up there? The movement coming from Newcastle. Cole!
Oh, that must be a corner. That must be a corner. I thought Cole made contact with that, and I was just about to congratulate Dan Peacock on some wonderful defending. It's a great run from Cole because he comes across the front of the defender. Beardsley knows he's there. Cole thinks he's got it, and that, for me, comes off Darren Peacock.
Yates with the header. Oh, Howie and the Venison for a moment confused. been very busy and has already pulled Rangers back once. Well, the Newcastle supporters, who always make the right kind of mark wherever they follow their team to, and much to celebrate here. Beardsley's 13th goal in 14 games. That's Andy Cole pace. Beardsley again. There's no offside. It's Clark. It's Cole, is it not quite? And Beardsley, who started it all off, was following up as well. Impey leaving Beresford. Well, that would encourage Queen's Park Rangers, the run from Andy Impey, and indeed the cross, but Ferdinand not following in. Michael Mika is coming on, but it's Impey that he's going to replace. Mika's been in the team recently, of course, in place of Impey.
I just wonder if what will that mean, Mark? Will Trevor Sinclair come over to the right and Mika stay left?
He's being sent across by Michael Mika. The message received and understood.
Well, he obviously must have inquired, I would think, to Les Ferdinand how he felt, and Les must have given him the thumbs up.
Beardsley's offside.
We did say about Steve Yates, though, as well as he's done, Mark, that the job of marking people at Beardsley and Co, and Jerry knows that, is a 90-minute job.
Well, they got the break to get the ball, but having got the ball, what they did was marvellous to behold. And if Kevin Keegan was enjoying it in the first half, he'll be positively purring at the moment. Well, can Rangers mount a revival here? They're not the tallest team, Newcastle. Howie has to take Ferdinand. In from Wilkins. Peacock! Good save.
That's what I mean about Peacock, who is a real threat in the air. Has been picked up by people a lot smaller, Martin, so they miss out Ferdinand and Howie. And you really do fancy Peacock's ability to get in there and get a header, and that's exactly what he does. Full match to the goalkeeper, keeps his eyes on it, makes sure it sticks.
Wilkins. So the ball was won initially by Barker. Oh, Venison with the Ferdinand trying to cash in on any slip. It's a free kick to Newcastle against Barker. One of those red cards that Rangers got a rash of in December. Barker and Ferdinand up at Liverpool, and 3 days later, Carl Reddy, who's a substitute today, was sent off at Southampton. Rangers do have to produce their own players like Michael Mika, or get a snip in the transfer market like Trevor Sinclair, who's unable to stop Beresford getting it forward. And again Barker coping with the run of Clark.
He's been a threat today. Lee Clark, he's worked really hard for his side. He's been that extra, he's been that option up front. And Simon Barker, he's had to cover some ground to track him today.
Ferdinand. Now he only got it as far as Wilkins. Early cross from Wilson. Wilkins was unlucky. He'd taken a chance to run in there. The ball just flew to the left of his chest and behind and away from the danger area. Well, Newcastle have won away at Villa, at Oldham, at Tottenham, at Everton, at Norwich. Are they going to add Queen's Park Rangers to the list? They'll be third in the FA Carling Premiership at the end of the day. One thing you can say about the spectators here, if the ball has crossed the line, they can see it and say so. George Graham with the Arsenal Vice-Chairman David Dean. Newcastle would go above Arsenal if they win here. Bardsley. Peacock. Pressing on whenever possible. Wilkins and Penrice not quite on the same wavelength. Sellers. Cole. Can Beardsley reach it? No. It's Peacock. On Ferdinand, and in the eyes of the referee, a serious foul, presumably because of the positioning. Andy Gray is shaking his head here.
I think I'm as amazed as Barry Venison. I think he's so surprised about that. I mean, Les has no control of the ball. He just pokes it past Barry Venison. It's running harmlessly into Mike Cooper's arms. I don't think he even made a tackle there.
They tried to set him up from that distance, and it was Peter Beardsley who put up the barricades. David Bardsley has played more than 200 games for the club now, and is emerging here as a figure of responsibility in Jerry Francis's setup. Not a lot of talkers at the back without Alan McDonald. Clive Wilson on the quiet side and Darren Peacock. Lee says, I'll have that one. Beardsley let him get away and moved off in support on the right-hand side. Clark for Lee. Wilson seemed to have it for a moment, then lost the ball, and Robert Lee, the Londoner, settles for a corner. 15 minutes to go. Newcastle looking for the comfort here of a 2-goal advantage. Clark. They were up out of their seats, the Newcastle supporters behind the goal.
They're so quick, they're so sharp in everything they do in Newcastle. How quickly they took the corner kick. They had 3 against 2 situation, which allowed Clark time and space, but opted to go near post and really didn't hit it well.
Well, they're casting the image of Kevin Keegan, who was such an impish player in his time. Quick-witted. Wilkins. Penrice. Beresford prepared to run it out of trouble. Beardsley couldn't put enough pace on the pass. Robinson. But again, Newcastle want to build from deep positions. And with Robert Lee, they did it beautifully. Cole, and sliding back was Peacock. And Dermot Gallagher waves away the claims that that was a back pass. He obviously saw that it was a tackle. It's a contentious one.
It is. I'm not so sure what this is. I mean, it is a tackle. I think he's right there. But I tell you what, 9 out of 10 times there'd be a free kick given.
Dennison suddenly facing his own goal and the ball in behind him. Wilkins. Oh, nutmegging Peter Beardsley. Something to talk about afterwards between the two of them. It's a miscue by Robinson, but the way out of it was found easily enough by Steve Howie.
What must be disappointing for Jerry Francis is the way that Les Ferdinand's drifted out of the game so much this second half. I can only think that injury must be hampering him, because he's been totally ineffective. I think all they can be hoped for now is they manage to get a cross in the box or something that he causes a bit of damage, because apart from that, he's not really taking much part in the game.
Well, you think of Queen's Park Rangers, you think of Les Ferdinand, you think of Ray Wilkins, but you have to say that Wilkins was not fully fit before the game, so Rangers ran that risk by picking him. Ian Holloway, who could have been cover, isn't 100% himself. Brazilian from Andy Cole.
Beardsley-ish, I would say.
Well, both apply, I think. Bardsley. Sinclair, having switched. Drilled in by Barker, not deep enough. Bracewell lasting the pace well. Lee with a touch. Cole letting it run, and Lee... It needed some doggedness there for Queen's Park Rangers, and Darren Peacock supplied it. Mika.
That's going to be the danger as we get closer and closer to 90 minutes, that Queen's Park Rangers push men forward, and with Beardsley and Cole up front, they're always likely to get caught at the back.
Whipped in by Bardsley. And again, the greater threat really coming from Gary Penrice, although they've got to get it in flat to find his head.
It just shows you don't have to be over 6 feet. If the ball in is good enough, and there's sufficient quality on it, which is exactly what Bardsley's cross had.
Cole, realising that Peacock was going to let him turn, it deflects off Darren Peacock. There was a ball on to the right-hand side to Robert Lee. Tunnel vision from Andy Cole, and
You can argue.
they look the right direction most times. Rangers going into this game with as many points from as many games at this stage last season, which encouraged Jerry Francis. Remember, they started this campaign with 3 defeats in the first 4. And this year, the greater share of home games to come over the remainder of the games, but of course you've got to win your home games. Mika. Hooper coming, as he tried to do in the first half, not with total success then, but he's had better fortune since they turned round.
Not as many questions being asked though this second half for Mike Hooper, but that one was up there long enough to make the decision a comfortable one for the goalkeeper.
Lee. Beardsley making it his. Clark. It's Yates who just stopped it reaching Peter Beardsley again. Oh, Hooper, well, he read the play well. Might have learned that at Liverpool. Bruce Grobbelaar. Cole, not for the first time this afternoon, is penalised. Mike Hooper revelling in the opportunity to be a regular goalkeeper. He was always in Grobbelaar's shadow at Anfield, he felt. Barker.
It was difficult to make his decision to attempt a volley. I always felt it was going to be a difficult one to control.
Well, sparkling stuff here and more of the same, I'm sure, in an FA Cup third-round replay. We bring you live on Sky Sports on Wednesday from the City Ground, Nottingham. Back to business here with Cole. All Newcastle need, really, to complete their afternoon is for Cole to get his 30th goal of the season. But at the moment, they haven't needed him. But he can take great satisfaction in his contribution in the goal by which Newcastle currently lead. The scorer of it on the ball. Mark Robinson hanging on in there, hoping for a corner.
He was so convinced it was a corner, he was ushering it out. He was stopping Pybals and get to it, and he was so surprised when the linesman pointed goal kick.
Robinson, who wasn't a candidate to play right back earlier in the season because he had quite a nasty knee injury. Beardsley again. That's beautifully done.
It was his control that was so impressive there. He had two players around him. You often talk about your first touch being so important, keeping it close to your body. But in that instance, Peter needed to control it well away. Did it with ease and moved onto the ball so comfortably.
Well, you've seen a lot of Newcastle United on your screens this season. We make no apology for that.
I think very much, sorry Martin, very much like Norwich were so refreshing last year. Newcastle have been the same this year, haven't they?
Sellers will take the corner. Steve Howie does go up. They've pulled others back, like Bracewell. Ferdinand finding an extra turn of pace, but towards his own goal. Trying to help the Rangers out of trouble in their own half. But Ardsley. Wilkins. Still only one goal in it. Still a chance that Rangers might yet recover. Sinclair. Oh. Well, Hooper started to come. In the end stayed put, and Ferdinand put it straight at him.
Well, I said he would struggle to make an impact in the game. And I tell you what, he won't get many better crosses than that. Beautifully delivered from Sinclair. And I tell you, it's not one of Les's best headers. No power and no real accuracy. That was a golden opportunity.
Well, Jerry Francis has kept him on just for that sort of chance. But it wasn't taken, and it's still Queen's Park Rangers 1, Newcastle United 2. 5 minutes to go. Just hoof it out when they're in trouble, Newcastle. They build from the back. They swarm forward in support. Cole finds Beardsley. Is it a little bender here? It's veering away, and I thought that initially it might have flown off a defender. In fact, it seemed to fly off the outside of the foot.
Well, it was a bender, but for Peters, unfortunately for Peter, the wrong way. Now, if this goes right to left, it nestles in the top corner, but it went left to right.
Anxiety for Newcastle. Hit. Henrice again looking for anything that might come off the goalkeeper inside the 6-yard box.
He may have
Hooper
looked a bit shaky occasionally in crosses, but his handling and making saves today has been very, very good. Hasn't dropped much, Mike Hooper. In fact, I don't think he's dropped anything. And he's had to make a save.
Bardsley. Queen's Park Rangers haven't given this up yet.
Well, we're all up now. Yates is heading forward now. Peacock's heading in there. All going to join Ferdinand.
Newcastle have left Andy Cole upfield. Everyone else is back. Mika. First to it for Newcastle was Lee. Beardsley was caught in possession.
Which is not something you've said often today.
No. Or over the last 15 years or so. Mika. Well, the crowd urging Queen's Park Rangers just to get the ball in the box. Peacock does that. Hooper again makes it his. Uses it quickly because Cole all the while has been lurking up there. Infield of him is Scott Sellers. And he's bowled over by David Bardsley.
That'll be a booking.
If Barry Venison was booked earlier, surely Bardsley at least is going to get a yellow card here.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. There's no attempt whatsoever from David Bardsley to go at the ball. Can't believe that if he's not been booked for that, Martin.
Just waiting his time, I think, Dermot Gallagher. Is completed. Wilson. Sinclair. Now Ferdinand suddenly finding his speed there. Bardsley. Gary Penrice giving body and soul to the cause, but it is a corner.
That's all hands to the pump now. And you would expect this from Queen's Park Rangers at home. Very little time left to be putting at least some pressure on.
In the 90th minute. Mika mishits. Thoughtful ball again from Lee for Beardsley, who hasn't been able to select Andy Cole. Wilkins. It's a good try from Simon Barker. But not enough for Queen's Park Rangers.
No, he hits it very well. The only thing he can't do here, Simon Barker, is keep it down. Drives at him there on the full, and he was never over the top of it. We're just looking at this Newcastle side, Martin. They're 1-0 up, or they're 1 goal up. They're away from home. And many, many teams up at the top of the league would play the game out. They'd look to kill the game and keep a hold of the ball. There's no such thought in their minds. They're looking to go forward. They're giving the ball away by trying to score a third goal.
Just not in their nature to sit back.
I mean, is it naivety? Is it innocence in this level?
It's very appealing unless you happen to be a Queen's Park Rangers fan. Hooper's got to be safe here, and he keeps calm. It's a question of the referee and time added on now. The Magpies are flying high again. Peter Beardsley wins it for Newcastle in the second half. Lee Clark had given them the lead. Gary Penrice with an equaliser, and Newcastle go third in the Premiership and avenge that setback at St James's Park against Queen's Park Rangers. And a win that really is another feather in the cap of Kevin Keegan and the club he's managing so successfully. Jerry Francis will be rueful at a Rangers defeat on their own pitch. Rangers still without a win since the turn of the year, but Newcastle played for, 1-4 in 94. And Peter Beardsley with an early birthday present, and in his own personal notebook he can tick off Queen's Park Rangers. He used to regard this as an unlucky ground. Not today. A wonderful winner to delight the wonderful fans who have supported Newcastle so successfully again this afternoon. Queen's Park Rangers will play better than this, and they will probably feel that after that cup defeat at Stockport, they haven't really done themselves justice this afternoon. Beaten again by Peter Beardsley, who's with Nick Collins.
Well, Peter, many congratulations. How big a win is this for Newcastle, do you think?
It's very important. You know, as everybody's known this week, they came to St James's and really played very well and deserved to win, but I think we've evened the score today.
You must have been delighted to have scored. I gather this is one of the few grounds you haven't actually scored on.
Yeah, it's one of 2 or 3 in the Premier that I hadn't scored before today, but obviously very pleased. I mean, it's a great win for us. We go third in the table now, I believe, and we're very happy.
A marvellous goal. I'm sure you'd like the chance to have a quick look at it. A terrific piece of finishing.
Yeah, the ball just come to me on the right-hand side, and Andy Cole looks to get the early one, you know, but it breaks to me there, and then he's pulled away and he's just given me a great ball back. You know, I don't think the defender realised I was there, and luckily for me, it went the roof in there.
You must have enjoyed that one.
Yeah, very nice.
This is the kind of game that you need to win, isn't it, if you're going to stay up there and look for Europe?
Yeah, that's right. You know, they are a good side. They played some good football. It's a bit frantic in the last 10 minutes, which we expected, but I think overall we deserve to win.
Well, not only did you score the winning goal, you've also been named the Carling man of the match, so Peter Beardsley, well done, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure I deserve this. I think Steve Howe should get this. He was absolutely magnificent. Cheers.
Well done, Peter.